On this Memorial Day weekend, our community is dealing with two mass shootings.
In northwest Miami-Dade, the crime scene outside a club where at least 20 people were hit in a hail of gunfire, fatal for 2 of them. The shooters remain on the loose.
A little more than 24 hours before, shooters on a street in busy Wynwood interrupted the party atmosphere there with gunfire. 7 people hit and 1 has died.
Miami-Dade Police Director Freddy Ramirez is with us live this morning to discuss this overnight mass shooting and the recent spike in gun violence.
A quick update first, though. Local 10 Syra onwards at the crime scene. Syra, bring us up to speed.
So Glenna, I can tell you this all happened around midnight. People were just leaving this local rapper's birthday party and a musical performance here. Right now, police say 2 people were shot and killed. At least 20 others were injured. And of those, 2 people are on life support.
This is a despicable act of gun violence.
A mass shooting at a northwest Miami-Dade event hall overnight. More than 20 people shot, 2 killed outside the El Moolah venue. Police say the space was rented out for a concert and a birthday party for a local rapper. People were gathering outside when a white Nissan Pathfinder pulled up. 3 people got out and started shooting into the crowd. Sky 10 showing as many as 100 evidence markers over bullet shell casings.
This is targeted. This is definitely not random.
The victims rushed to various hospitals, some by ambulance, some driving themselves. Jackson Memorial Hospital, one of several sites treating victims. A crowd gathering outside the trauma center waiting for updates. So police are still looking for those shooters in that Nissan Pathfinder. They say they don't believe there's an active threat to the community. Right now, I'm waiting to get updates from the hospitals on those dozens of people being treated for those gunshot injuries. Of course, I'll keep you updated as we get that information. That's the latest live from northwest Miami-Dade. Syra Onwar, Local 10 News.
Syra, thanks. A long night for Miami-Dade's Police Director Freddy Ramirez is with us now live. Director, we value your time. So grateful you're able to be with us today.
Director, good morning. We know you haven't had much sleep, but here, bring us up to date. We just saw Syra Onwar with sort of what she has been able to gather at the scene, but give us the latest. What can you tell us about this horrific incident?
It's a horrific act of gun violence that's plaguing our community. Right now, what we have is three victims that are critical right now. 17 others that are being treated at local hospitals. Our detectives are going from hospital to hospital right now, trying to get information from our victims as well as witnesses. Our crime scene is out there working. Our detectives are out in the street. We're making contact with community leaders that have called me specifically to give me information as well. And right now, it's all hands on deck. We're putting all the resources of this department out in the street to bring justice to these subjects.
Director, kind of a shock to the system, no doubt, to hear that there have been 2 mass shootings in the last, 36 hours or so. The one in Wynwood, not Miami-Dade's jurisdiction, the city of Miami, but certainly there are gun crimes we've been following almost every day. Give some context, if you can, to what really feels like an uptick in this kind of gun violence.
No, it is horrible. The strange thing, if you look at our murder rate, is going down. The last 4 months, we've been going down. Up until today, we were down 1 in murders. We had 43 murders. So our officers in our community have been doing a great job to control this gun violence. But unfortunately, there's a small amount of people in our community that don't value life, that don't follow the rules, that don't care, and are only focused on enacting gun violence, killing people over ridiculous things, from vendettas, from drugs to typical gang violence. And it's very frustrating. And what's frustrating is that the innocent people that are being hit as a result of these careless criminal acts by these individuals.
Yeah, Director Ramirez, we know you're right that the number of homicides in Miami-Dade and Broward, for that matter, has gone down over the last year or so, and yet the number of these drive-by shootings just seems to, at least anecdotally, just go on and on. As Glenna said, here we had one Friday night in Wynwood, and now here in northwest Miami-Dade last night, another where a car pulls up, guys got out, they've got probably semi-automatic weapons, and they just unload. It's just, it's so unacceptable. It just cannot go on.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And you see it in the community's response. You see in our rewards for the 3-year-old, $67,000. Right now, we just received a $100,000 reward by Mr. Lemus. I mean, this community is outraged and engaged, just like we are, just like you are. And these are a strategic, specific act of violence. These are beefs that happen right away. No matter how much we put our personnel in every hole, we cannot stop that person that decides to get in a car, rack an AK-47, see someone who he wants down the street and enact that violence within 30 seconds and they're gone.
All right, let's talk about those rewards, because to your point, Director, this morning we're just learning about this cable television, Marcus Lemonis, business guru to a lot of people, offering up $100,000 reward. Let me just bring up Elijah LaFrance, a little boy who died after his birthday party in a hail of bullets. That reward up to $65,000. I'm sorry if I'm not totally up to date, an enormous number. But all of this money really is going nowhere, respectfully, because the information is not coming in. And please speak to, you know, we know, your detectives know, there are those who have information. What is it going to take, if not these hundreds of thousands of dollars, to get people to help?
Yes, unfortunately, we're battling a code of silence in these situations. And a lot of it has to do with fear, because they live in fear of retaliation. A lot of it is also just, you know, the code on the street. But what's going to happen is the more times that people don't say anything, it's going to be you, it's going to be someone you love that's going to get hit. And that's why they got to come forward. There's no way that this type of gun violence happens like it did and nobody saw nothing.
Yeah.
That's just not acceptable.
Yeah.
Not acceptable. And the police can't do it all. The men and women of this department are out there each and every day fighting crime. You see it on our social media, the amount of guns and dope that we're taking off the street, the community engagement, the programs that we got going on, like the one we're going to be putting out right now with the mayor's office, which is enriching, investing in the communities, and also public safety enforcement component at the same time. We're putting the medicine that needs to be done. However, there's that one component that's missing. The ones that saw something or know something, they need to say something so that this stops. Because if not, these people are running around the streets with no fear, and it's got to stop.
Yeah. Director, we know your officers are on it. You're working as hard as you can, and it's got to be terribly frustrating. Your detectives who are at the various hospitals this morning, where witnesses are, where people know something, are they learning anything? Are they getting any help at all?
Yes, they're getting information. They're all building blocks. The Circle Brotherhood called me. Leroy, I've had other unofficial leaders in the community that call me with different pieces that are building blocks to this case, but still, we need more information. We need more. With the 3-year-old, you saw, although we haven't got the person who did it, but all the tips that we got led to all these arrests and busts that you're seeing, all these linear investigations to put these people out of business until we get the pressure strong enough so that we can get these people. We need that on this one as well. I mean, it's just very frustrating, but it's what you see around the country. You know, it was said last week that law enforcement is worried that this is going to be a violent summer. And you know what? Miami-Dade County is not immune to that. That's why we all have to band together, law enforcement, community together, to put a stop to this. And ultimately, we got to protect our kids because they're the ones that are watching this. Thank God no kids were injured at this. And you know what else is another factor is our social media. When they put up these flyers that are incendiary in nature, what does that do? That attracts individuals to come to do retaliation or whatever is being said on social media is being translated into a violent response. That's another angle that we have that we're also fighting with as well. It's not your traditional gun violence like from the 90s. This is different. There is a narcotic component, but there's a heavy social media, these songs that they're saying, these things that are saying that are trigger words that are triggering a violent response. And if you don't have a good foundation at home and you're a person who's lost or don't care, well, this is what they're reacting with. Gun violence in the middle of the street and innocent people getting hit.
Director, you, in the minute we have left or so, you have a bully pulpit for the moment. There are a lot of people in high places that watch our program. What, as the leading officer of the largest police department in this state, what don't you have to help fight this scourge?
What I don't have is the information I need from those who saw what happened on a countless of these cases. That's what I don't have. That is the challenge. Our officers are out there. There's plenty of officers in the street. In fact, I got 100 a day in the beach. My officers are everywhere, all over this community, as well as the other law enforcement agencies here in Miami-Dade County who are dealing with the same thing. This is, unfortunately, this is a societal issue. This is a cultural problem. This is a problem at home. This is something that transcends policing. That's why we have to use a different type of tactics, not only policing, but we need to get into these communities. We need to enrich these communities. We need to pick people up so that they don't fall down the line of these criminals, these murderers that are doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
That's what we.
Director Alfredo Ramirez, we know that you and your department are hard at work on this. We wish you well, and we thank you for coming on this morning to give us the latest news. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Director.
Thank you so much.
While in South Florida, as we are talking about, there is a shooting almost every day. The police response, those evidence marketers, those become such familiar sights. Every one, though, takes a human toll on families and this community.
Family members from this latest shooting incident right now are anxiously awaiting word on their loved ones. They are at the hospital, several hospitals in South Florida, and Local 10's Trent Kelly is at Jackson Memorial. Trent, what is the situation there? What are people saying?
Well, Michael, earlier this morning, it was a very emotional scene here outside JMH as we saw dozens upon dozens of very distraught and concerned family members arriving here near the hospital's front doors. They were here desperately seeking any sort of update they could get as to the condition of their loved ones. And one of the people who we found out here included a mother who was here to check on her 24-year-old son after she got a panicked phone call from him overnight telling her that he had been shot. Take a listen to how she described that moment.
That was the most horrible call for my son to be calling his father. They have a very close relationship. And to be telling us, Mom, Dad, I love you. I just want to say I love you. I was shot. It's burning. It hurts. It hurts. And for me to be a medical personnel, you know, you help others and you save them. But then when it's your own, you feel helpless. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and Green went on to tell us that her son did undergo surgery after he sustained a gunshot wound to his stomach. Thankfully, though, she says his condition has now stabilized and he is now out of surgery. So a bit of good news there, but it comes as we now learn that another 2 of the shooting victims are now said to be on life support. That's in addition to the dozens of others who were also injured in that shooting and taken to various hospitals across both Broward and Miami-Dade counties, including most of those victims who were taken here, as we mentioned, to Jackson Memorial Hospital. Back out here at JMH, things are now starting to quiet down here, but we will remain in touch with those families and will bring you any updates that we receive as soon as we get them. For now, we are live outside Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. Michael, Glenna, back over to you.
Trent, thank you so much. And as you see, we have crews everywhere, so please do stay tuned to Local 10 News all day.